Hey, what's up? Yeah, it sounds a little bit like it. That's not better. Ooh. Yeah, that sounds better.
I don't know what the deal is. Okay, well, there we are.
Your voice sounds different, though.
Oh, like what?
Oh, now it's fine. It's like a different
I
voice.
I think I was just like being really calm and serious. Yeah, like I had my hand on my chin and I'm talking like this.
Okay,
right?
okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it sounds different. It sounds like you now.
Dude, I hope Yard Sale shows up at least. With some of these fleshlight characters. you know what I mean? That'd be really cool.
Yo.
Oh no! I thought he wasn't coming.
I can't believe he came. Yeah, dude, massive shit. We're like, this is gonna be such a nice show.
Oh.
No arguing, no talking about politics or culture wars.
Yeah. Well,
apparently somebody learned how to spell or spell check themselves.
Oh my God, Twashi, you can relate to this. I spent like 2 fucking hours going over these lines of code. And I swear to God, I checked the string multiple times, and there was no spelling errors. And I was like, let me just retype it just in case. And when I retyped it, it worked. So it turns out it was a fucking spelling error the whole time. This should have taken like 15 minutes.
That's like so funny, dude. Hours. That's so funny.
Eyeballs don't work.
Yeah, man. What text editor are you using?
Well, it's just, I mean, it's Excel, so it's not really code.
But... Oh, okay.
It's even harder because it's formatting is garbage.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can use things like Atom, which is a great text editor because it kind of just saves your variables.
Yeah, I think most IDEs do, really.
Yeah, I don't think Atom is an IDE specifically. It's just a text editor.
Yeah.
But like it has the features of an IDE. Like
Sublime, right?
Yeah, similar. Yeah.
You sound a little echoey.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. You sound like kind of far away.
Oh, well, I don't know if this does anything better, but is this better?
I don't know, say something.
Saying something. I'm having all sorts of problems, man. I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
You can still hear you, so that's important.
Yeah, it is important, I guess. Okay. So I'm going to start the show off a little bit geeky, since we were talking about coding. Are you walking around, Lux, or something? It's like windy.
No, sorry, it's my fan.
Okay. So I got a buddy at work, and I don't know if you guys know, but my computer is literally on my wall. I don't know if you've seen it before. I'll try and pull up my YouTube video. Wait, actually, gray matter build. So this is my computer right here. It's mounted on the wall. These are Lichtenberg figures. It's completely custom, right? And so it got us talking about like, custom build stuff. It's great because, it's high up, so it doesn't collect dust. And that's like the most common question I get, like how often do you have to clean it? And I'm like never, because if you put your computer on the ground, that's where all the fucking dust, accumulates anyways, right? So having it high up on the wall, you actually don't get very much dust. And so he sent me his computer case, and I think oh shit, let me just change the scene really quick. I just realized that I didn't have my screen sharing right now.
I was just gonna say I couldn't see anything.
Yeah, so this is my computer right here. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on the wall. He took a kind of a unique approach. So he knows somebody who does stained glass. And so his computer has stained glass on it. This is it, right here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he basically took out the side panel, and
Cool.
his friend knows how to do stained glass, and she did this. I thought it was it's really good. It's really great.
It's like an art piece.
Yeah,
It's really nice.
It's really nice.
Stained glass is beautiful.
Yeah, it's a really creative way to do it. I think I've seen a lot of computer builds in the past, and this idea kind of trumps it all. Anyways, so Lux, I know you you listen to Joe Rogan a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You see Edward Snowden hop on there for a minute?
Yeah, that was a while back.
So he is.
I didn't watch the whole thing.
There's this rumor that, or I don't even know if it's a rumor. It might be a real thing that Trump is going to pardon, or is trying to, right? And so it brought up a lot of topics, and you might already know that I'm kind of going down this path of trying to get as private as possible, and I think right now, given the political climate, it's more important than ever. That's just my opinion, and maybe I'm really paranoid and crazy about this stuff. But it just kind of reminded me of that, and it's clearly a political play to say that we represent kind of, we're on the people's side with privacy and shit like that. But then I go back to TikTok and I think to myself, well, this is an argument of, if anybody's going to control our, I gotta lower you down, man.
There's a lot of feedback.
Yeah. If anybody's going to be controlling our data or have that data or influencing our minds through advertising, it should be in Americans' hands instead of foreign hands, right? And I still can't find a good argument for this TikTok thing, because the further you dig into this, right? The further you dig into this, and I really encourage you to watch the piece that he was when he was on Joe Rogan for a couple reasons, because he scratches the surface on privacy and tracking through your phone. And the further you go into it, you basically realize that there's absolutely no way to keep your privacy with a phone. Even with burner phones, it's actually very, very difficult to do. And laptops in particular, here's an interesting fact. Laptops and phones, all of their components are made in China. All of them.
Yeah.
And not only that, I don't know if you guys have heard of Intel Management Engine, right? So what that is a piece of firmware. What is firmware? Firmware is software basically, but it's attached closer to the hardware, and your operating system like Windows or iOS or whatever it may be, Android, sits on top of that and interacts with that firmware software. So that firmware software has back doors with these private companies, right? It basically allows them to go in there and control things like your Wi-Fi or your RAM, and it exploits a vulnerability to like pretty much access your computer and bypass the operating system, no matter how secure your operating system is. And the only way to really get around that is if you use one of these open source firmwares, that enables anybody publicly to audit the code to verify that it's not there. But any government, and in this case, maybe China, maybe you bought a computer that has firmware that's been developed by maybe the Chinese manufacturer. All this kind of ties back to what I mean. In my opinion, if you think TikTok is a national security issue, then you should consider all devices a national security issue, whether it be from the United States or from like China.
That's a good point. I don't understand the TikTok thing either.
It really just comes down to like, I think there's political play, and I think that there's also a if anybody's going to control this data, it's going to be Americans rather than China. But China already has so much information.
It feels like it's being just, like this is the one that we're focusing on.
Right.
But like you said, there's so much of our stuff is made in China and so much of our electronics.
Yeah.
And that's never questioned.
Exactly. And it's just really baffled. I'm completely baffled. And I don't.
Why?
I don't know what to say about that. Oh, hey, there's Lux. Sorry, I'll turn you back up. Sorry.
Why are you baffled, though?
I'm baffled that we're focused on TikTok because there's so many different other areas that probably provide more information. I mean, everything from your pieces of hardware has information on you. If you buy a device from China, or you have, which a lot of devices are made in China, biometrics of any sort, there's a risk that like those biometrics are getting they are getting sent to like Google or Apple.
Why is it the app and not the thing that holds all the apps, or why is it this one specific app?
Yeah.
I think that's what he's trying to say.
I think there's a lot of...
Which is a valid question.
I think there's a lot of answers for that question, though, because, I mean, one, you could say, well, you got to start somewhere. Two, you could say, why would you expect the government to be competent and make a smart decision? You know what I mean? So, like, I think
going to your first point, when you have to start somewhere, I mean, I think that goes back to, it's got to be some kind of there's got to be some other motive behind it, right? Like, why start now in the middle of an election year when electronics 100%. Have been, we're on the 11th or 12th iPhone. Like, it's not like this is a new thing where electronics are made in China.
Maybe they're testing the waters politically for, tolerance to this kind of stuff.
5G was nerfed, right? And I kind of, before I was being before today, I was not as paranoid about this stuff, but 5G the reason 5G is potentially a national security risk, as defined today, is that you literally, these 4G has more towers, right? Your cell phone has a MAC address. The MAC address you could possibly change, but there's an ID on it, and you should listen to Snowden's whole thing about that. Every time even if you've turned off your Wi-Fi, even if you turned off mobile, even if you turned off Bluetooth, these pieces of hardware are still sending data to cell towers. They're pinging cell towers, and they're sending your ID, and it's logging it, and it's permanent. And with that, they can triangulate your position within 6 feet, right? If you have 5G, these antennas are literally pointing to your device when you're using it, and that's how you get like the speed, and the accuracy of like your location is way increased substantially.
So I have a kind of a silly question. In order for that to happen, you have to have 5G on your device, right? So your device has to be capable.
Yeah, but that's only one layer, right? Like there's multiple layers here, like, and it goes back decades, ever since like phones started carrying. Actually, it goes back a long time, and it goes back to because your Bluetooth can do the same thing. Contact tracing has taken it to a completely new level. I haven't opted in for contact tracing, but now a company like Google or Apple now have facial recognition, biometric data on you, your identity through payments and your shopping habits, advertising, search history, all of this. And now with contact tracing, even do you guys know what contact tracing is?
Yeah.
I
They
fucking hate it. Fuck that shit.
Yeah.
But I don't think
So
like,
let
and
me
they have apps designed for it as well.
let me
Like,
pull it all back together, right? So your device, whether you have it turned off or not, is still accessible and sending logging information to these cell towers or any Wi-Fi point, right? So with contact tracing, they also have medical diagnosis attached to it, right? And it enables them to triangulate who you are and your identity and where you are with all the other people who have opted in for this, right? So because that's the whole point, right? Like, who are you close by and in contact with and all this shit, right? So this takes it a step further. Even if you have let's say don't download the App Store or whatever. Because of contact tracing, it helps them determine information and build an identity profile out of you from people that you are just around, not even like you and your behavior on the internet. So I don't know, man. It's not like it's I don't think it's very important now, but it could be that like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, there's bulk collection of data that can be used in various different ways.
I agree. I think it's worrisome.
If the government turns into some kind of socialist or totalitarian situation, they can certainly leverage that data to control and track you. And yeah.
I think it is. I think it's dangerous. Like, I think that and I think that people are very vulnerable right now and willing to share that information and not think twice about it. I think
for convenience.
That's really where, I think that's kind of where people, like, they let their guard down because, oh, it's a virus. I mean, a little bit different, but also in some lines the same. I called my health insurance the other day because I had some claims from a doctor's visit last year that I was just calling to inquire about. And before I did that, they went, through all the security questions of making sure that I was me. And then when the gentleman got on the phone, he started asking me questions that he said, we're asking you these questions now because of COVID-19. It was where I worked, what my mode of transportation to get to work was. I mean, like, all of these questions that had nothing to do with my insurance. And it just had me thinking, like, why are you asking these questions? And he said, like, I don't have to answer them if I didn't want to, and it's fine if I didn't want to. But it just made me think, like, the questions themselves were just so unrelated to my health, my health insurance, and asking the question that I want. Like, I wasn't trying to ask them, get a COVID test or something like that. It was just, I had a billing question.
We're literally getting tagged like animals, and people don't even know it or care. Like, it's insane.
You give up your information so freely. I mean, like, you hear about these scams all the time about, like, the people calling people and saying that they need to get their social security number. And I think a lot of people would say, like, oh, that's, like, nobody would ever do that. But there are people out there that feel like the IRS is calling them, or feel like the Social Security office is calling them, So, like, these poor people are giving even more information out. Obviously, it's not to the government, it's to hackers, but it's crazy to me that people aren't a little bit more protective of that.
Yeah.
Although I'm probably one of those people, you do it. Amazon and Google, and
it's really fucking hard. I battle with this with myself quite often, and
you just surprised me though with the burner cell. I thought that the burner cells, those were, because those weren't. Is it just like, how are those traceable now?
Well, so like I said,
can you trace it back to a person, or is it just the location services on it?
No, well, so there's a couple ways to do it. A couple government entities have devices specifically for tapping into cell towers, and hackers can also do it. If they're sophisticated enough, they can unencrypt your calls over 4G. So why does this matter? Well, if you are, most people think of hackers of like, okay, I'm sitting on a insecure network in Starbucks, right? And somebody is doing what's called a phishing attack, where you kind of like put up a fake web page, like a fake banking web page, and you get like the user's credentials, right? That's very, very easy to do, and it's also rudimentary. This is like you tap into, you can connect physically to a cell tower. You can then call the user or the victim, and you can say, if you keep them on the line for more than 5 minutes, you can unencrypt the last phone call that they had. And why is that important? If you had a call, say your previous call was like to your bank or whatever, right? And you had to give, or in your case, you called, asking about
my health
problem.
Insurance. Yeah.
And you gave them your social security. You gave them all this information about yourself, which is, a hacker, a nefarious hacker, can then use against you. It's unlikely that you'll be specifically targeted to those things, but that vulnerability does exist, and it's not only the hackers, right? Like, if a regular old hacker can do that, the government can also do that, and there's specific devices that enable them to tap into your phone and tap into the sensors of your phone to turn on your camera, to do all these things. So the best thing you can do with a burner, the only way you can mildly make it successful, is if you get a dumb phone that and like, let's say 10 SIM cards, right? You get 10 SIM cards, a dumb phone, and you remove the battery, and you only ever put the battery in and put the SIM card in when you're going to make a phone call. And the other person needs to also have a burner phone and operating in the same way in order for it to be, the most secure.
Mm-hmm.
Which is crazy to think about. But so like, even if you have your battery in the phone, it starts building a profile around you and your whereabouts. And if you make the phone call, it's probably going to be unencrypted. And the more you use the same number, the more of a profile you have, and the more likelihood that you can be targeted for investigation, if that's what if you're trying to avoid government or something like that. But I mean, listen, that's like a really extreme case. I don't think I can live that way.
Yeah.
You
have to time your phone calls to each put your batteries in and your SIM cards.
I think at the very least, getting off of the Android and Apple stores is a huge step, and then just using a web on your phone to access apps over a VPN is a huge step. That's a huge sacrifice, and I can't say that I can do that yet, because I'm like everybody else, kind of addicted to these services. But I know last time we were talking about Linux distros, and that's also another step that you could take, is uninstall Windows, uninstall Mac OS, and you can pop one of these. And I remember Lux saying that he wasn't too impressed with everything trying to be like Mac. And what I was trying to explain is that they're not all like Mac. And so what this site allows you to do, distrotest.net, is literally open a virtual machine, and I'll post it in chat. And there's a lot of privacy-focused OSs on here. Again, it gets the further you go down the rabbit hole, the further, the more difficult it gets to really protect your shit. But Pop OS uses what's called the GNOME desktop, and I'll just show you one brand, and maybe you guys can check it out. I think it takes a little bit of time to pop up, but it has a pretty unique look to it. It's booting up right now, but it just shows you the various different flavors of desktops. You have the GNOME desktop, you have KDE desktop, you have the Unix desktop by Ubuntu. You have the Elementary OS desktop, and all just kind of with slight variations. Not exactly Mac OS. There's a slight delay because it's running on a virtual machine. But Linux has come a long way, man. And I feel like people should know that. And this is also a great step if you want to protect, a great first step to protecting your privacy. So, as you can see, it's got a bar at the top, right? It's got kind of these little tiled controls. Here's your calendar, and then you have this thing called activities, and when you select this, a little bar pops out. It's designed so that it's like really clean. You don't have like a bunch of files on your desktop. And this search button allows you to search your files. Search your files really easy. So, and you can use this with like what would be your Windows button or something like that. You can search for, you know, like Firefox, right? Like all your apps. I don't even have that on my Windows right now. And then this on the right is various different desktops. I would say that's a lot different than like Mac OS. Thoughts?
I really love.
This seems a little complicated to me, but I'll let somebody else jump in.
Really?
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, a little bit. I mean, maybe it's just something I'm not familiar with, and it is more. The thought of it is a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, maybe you're used to more traditional stuff. I'm not going to go through everything here, but I wouldn't dismiss it. There's literally thousands of different types of variations of Linux and desktops that you can play with.
Yeah, I think I need to get in there and play around with it in order to really have a feel for it. Seeing it is a little bit different.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't usually read CNN articles, but I wonder how much of this is true. 750 million genetically engineered mosquitoes are approved for release in Florida.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Mosquitoes are the worst.
I didn't read through all of it, but I think the idea is that they're multiplying a lot, and these genetically altered mosquitoes are designed to kind of decrease the population of mosquitoes by when they try to. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, when they try to reproduce, it kills the mom and the larvae.
Yeah, they're sterile or something like that.
Yeah. It's what do you guys think about us doing something like this?
Fuck yeah! Get rid of.
Do mosquitoes have any? I mean, do they do any like good in the world? You know how like animals, if you kill them off, they sometimes can lead to.
Yeah, they save the blood of dinosaurs inside their bodies, and then we can remake dinosaurs in the future.
So basically, we're just losing out on Jurassic Park. I mean, that's fine.
I guess what I'm wondering is like, what the fuck is the side effects on humans? And
would they still bite humans?
A really, really big risk on a potentially global scale to do something like this. I don't know.
They had to have tested them out in some capacity, but like, if they bit you, or would they bite humans? There's no reason they wouldn't, right? Because they're just mosquitoes.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about this. I mean, I agree. Like,
what if we
probably can
don't
do
get
less.
Spider-Man? We just get Mosquito Man.
I mean, I don't know. I guess I just don't know enough about environmental impact to like really feel confident about this. But like,
I don't know what benefits mosquitoes have offhand, or I don't think there's any glaring benefits. It's one of the most prevalent causes of death in the world is from mosquitoes, but we have a tendency as human beings to really only look at the effects, the immediate effects of something on us, and we try and alter that. But then we live in a web, of connectivity, and that might, affect something
Right.
some offshoot that affects an offshoot that comes back like a boomerang and fucks us up. And
that's my thoughts too.
That happens time and time again, you know.
I imagine
So,
they did some analysis around that though.
yeah, but
I feel like our
I imagine they
analysis
did, but what is
sometimes
it?
is just to prove what we want it to prove.
Exactly.
Not to really like look at the other alternatives.
Exactly. And even if you look at like just something simple as like development on a piece of land that, you know, we have people that are certified, evaluators to come and assess the environmental impact, but we all have ulterior motives, and we want to get to point B the quickest way. We cut corners. We don't really take in effect the greater ramifications, or we ignore them, or paid off, or this is society. Human beings.
Yeah.
Dude. I don't think, like, I feel really nervous about something like this. It's like introducing something into our ecosystem purposefully.
Well, they're doing it in Florida, so like let them fuck up.
Well,
Florida.
I mean, we've been genetically modifying all of our wheat crops in the New World, and now half the people are gluten intolerant, and they can't enjoy a goddamn piece of bread.
Yeah, that's.
What's life without a good piece of bread?
I don't know.
That's a good point. We have been altering crops and animals as well for a very long time.
And people. The Tuskegee, whatever. Tuskegee.
So, I mean, but it's crazy because this is just like a decision within our control, right? And I don't know. And then I look at this. NASA is tracking a fast-growing anomaly in Earth's magnetic field, and this shit scares the living shit out of me because it's kind of just like, we're this gigantic piece of mass, and not even gigantic. We're really tiny in space, right? And there's a balance in. Holy shit! There's a balance in that we have that is so unique, and the sun can explode tomorrow. It could fucking shut off, and then we'd all be dead. You know what I'm saying? And when I see shifts,
we wouldn't be dead for a while if the sun shut off tomorrow. It would take a while.
Is
I'm
it?
Just being a wise ass.
Is that true?
Well, it wouldn't. It would have. It's how many? We would be dead overnight.
About,
it's
like,
not like years away.
The light we see today is from like years and years ago, right? So
not from the sun.
Not the sun. The sun's like next door.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, forget about it. Even like when the sun, flips that light switch. I mean, just the fact of we're being bombarded by solar radiation and solar flares and like storms from the sun all the time, and the only thing protecting us is our atmosphere and our magnetic fields.
Yes.
As soon as that starts to wither away, then that shit is going to hit our planet and rip up our atmosphere and everything and turn us into Mars.
And that's what I'm.
Yeah,
that's what this article is saying, is that like there's a dramatic shifts in the Earth's magnetic field, and I've been seeing these articles like for years now, but it's a slow process, right? And so this imbalance is always something that reminds me of just how delicate this whole ecosystem is.
Now, my question, I haven't read this article, but what type of shift are they talking about? Because I know there's the effects that we have caused on our ozone, which affects the magnetic poles, but also isn't it a thing where the magnetic poles like naturally will swap or shift like every?
Yeah, that's true. I read this a while ago, but you're absolutely right. There is a degree of like natural shifting. I don't know how far it's gone back in terms of documentation. Might go further back from when like before humans could like write. I don't know.
There's a very cool video.
What is
that they did? The video that's on that.
Oh, you watched it?
Yeah, I was just watching it. It's very. I'm a very visual person. I need to do that, and also I think I can't read anything on my screen because it's very blurry.
While this anomaly poses a little risk to life here on Earth, it does allow scientists to study the complicated mechanisms behind Earth's magnetism.
But it's
I really think the next step in terms of travel is, and I've said this before, is fucking learning to harness the Earth's magnetic field. It's there. It's literally just there. We just need to figure out how to do it.
Well, we're already meddling in genetic altering. We just need to focus all of that science power into creating a Magneto, a real life Magneto.
Oh man! All right, so I see that Duff finally has some articles here. So I'm gonna. It's like the first time I've ever seen.
Actually, I've submitted a few sometimes.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Stop panicking about the post office. It's been happening for years.
Well, I thought this one was really interesting because I saw a lot of social media posts this week and on funding the post office, and a lot of this comes back to the political climate, right? Like we're 70 something days away from an election, and everybody hates Donald Trump, so let's all figure out how to blame him for the thing that's happening right now. And I think a lot of people don't we've talked about this a few times, but people don't dig into anything beyond a headline. So if it's something that you can write on Twitter and have a great picture, nobody's really going to click on your article. And if you like Instagram in that way, and I am a huge user of Instagram. I don't post a lot, but I definitely go on there multiple times a day and am entertained by people's stories and all of that. And people create these graphics and they start getting shared all over the place. And I noticed that a lot of my friends were posting these and helping to fund the post office. And I just think that it's not just a Donald Trump problem, right? He didn't create this. And it's interesting to me that people just see that headline and it's just one more thing that they can tack on that Trump is doing badly. And not that he's helping it at all, but it's a very long article, but it goes through, kind of what the issues are with the post office and how they started and how they were accelerated. And the pandemic and the virus definitely helped them, but it's not like the post office is going to close tomorrow, and it's not going to take away our mail in the next week. And I just thought it was important to share that so that people have all the facts.
Yeah. Let's post this.
I think it's just bothering me a lot how people just don't, they go for those colorful graphics, or they go for that, that headline that will grab attention. Yeah. What was that, Lex?
It's all about the memes.
It is. It's all about the memes, and how many reposts can you get, and how many likes can you get, and there's not a lot of conversation. So when I see something on somebody's Instagram that I have a question for, I will actually ask them, about it, because I'm not just going to sit there and then repost something. Like, I don't do that anyway, but I see a lot of people just reposting because their friends did it, and they're not and I just feel like there's a lot of information being spread that way that nobody's paying attention to the real root of these this is just one out of many. And Trump is just such an easy scapegoat, and it's just, it's not fair, first of all, right? Like, I mean, I understand a lot of people don't like him, but he's not the reason for a lot of our troubles. Like,
a lot of the shit was existing. It was pre-existing.
Exactly.
Well,
and he came into office in a way because people were so sick of all this shit, and he was elected for that, to help get. And he's fallen into that, right? He wasn't able to kind of understand how he came into office or any of that, but it was already there. He's the kind of...
He's an amplifier of what's already been wrong with us as a society. He's not a cop.
He's definitely not helping his own case.
When you say it's not fair, fuck being fair to him, because that's neither here nor there. He's the president, he's outside of that, but it's not fair to us because we're not being real with ourselves.
Maybe fair is not the right word. I mean,
I think it is, but it's just who's it not fair to? I think it's not fair to us as a society if we're just sticking our heads in our sand and regardless if he's a piece of shit, good president, bad president, whatever, we have to be real with the root of the problem, or else we can't address it. So it's not fair to us.
And that's an excellent point, because I think what I'm seeing now is, and I think it's just because I'm really finally paying attention, and I know Lux is probably smiling right now, yay, she's finally paying attention. But it's just, people are so quick to blame, but absolutely nobody is asking for a solution, or nobody is, this is going to die down. Are we going to hear about this in 6 months? Probably not. Yeah. It's just going to be over, and there's going to be no solution, right? And it's just going to be forgot about until the next big thing where somebody does it like the opposing person and wants to blame it back.
I'm gonna fucking say this again. During the Democratic debates, the only person who ever made sense to me was Andrew Yang, because he would state a problem and then he would state what he plans to do to fix it.
Right. And that's the American people that are not holding our politics. Even right now, Joe Biden, he's trying to come into office. There's no solutions that he's actually trying to put forward. It's just an I hate Trump.
His number one solution is not being Trump, which is not,
But that's where we as an American people, fine, you want to get him into office. If that's your game, that's fine. But then hold him accountable when he's there. Don't just let it slide and let's fall back into, it's just, well, he's not Trump. What is he doing to improve America? What is his plan?
If you actually try to dig into it, shit, none of it makes sense. None of it.
But that's the problem with the two-party system, is that ultimately, if you're stuck between, fucking two shitheads, you're gonna have to pick one of them. You want the shithead that's in office now, or you want to roll the dice and pick somebody else who's nobody really likes or has solutions that are viable or make sense. It's
I always think about voting
facing this problem over and over again.
I always think about voting for another party, and I always get this he's the Democratic pick or whatever, and I hate that train of thought. However, I get sucked into it, and I emotionally become not happy about it. But it's useless. It's a waste of energy, because we all know that that vote doesn't really count, and that we need to be focusing on our local leaders, right? And that's how we could.
Right, but even our local leaders are still they're all part of the bigger party, right? So even. I know we talk a little bit about AOC here, and we're not kind of crazy fans of hers, but I don't think anybody really is. But she's for what it's worth, she came into the party as kind of, hey, this isn't working for the working class people, right? And they're the ones getting screwed. So either way you look at it, the two parties are all about the elite. Nobody's there fighting for the working class. You have somebody like AOC who's actually been brought in now, but she's not even. Take the Democratic National Convention, for instance. She's a very popular Democrat, and she's really not. She was given a minute to speak, and I don't know what the terms are and how you get to be chosen to speak, but if you look at the people at the convention, none of those are kind of the popular Democrats that are not within the party, right, system. So if you're not kind of playing the democratic game, you're not really chosen to. You're just kind of like, hey, like we don't want to bring you forward, or we don't want to highlight you because they're too left, right? They're too extreme. Yeah. But like those are the people that the actual working class and that the people in America. How did Trump get elected? He's just the same as like AOC, but he's on the right. He's different. He's new.
I've said that.
He brings different ideas.
Often. You need to. I hate to say this, and I said this before, is that I think we need AOC simply because of that. Even though I'm not the biggest
bring some checks and balances to their own party.
By the way, side note,
accountability.
AOC deepfakes are like really, really, really good. Like deepfake porn.
What did you say?
AOC deepfake porn is actually really, really, really good. I wish there was more of like Ivanka Trump deepfakes.
Did you know she was AOC was she didn't just decide to run for office one day. She was selected.
Yeah,
she was selected by a competition. Actually, her brother, as a joke, input her name into a competition, and they picked her randomly as a finalist. And then she went through this whole like reality TV show style competition to see who was going to be the candidate. She won for a group called the Democratic Socialists of America. I think it's the Democratic Socialists of America. It's Cenk Uyghur's Cenk Uyghur of the Young Turks. It's his super PAC. It's a super PAC along with Chakrabarti.
Well, so that's like the greater problem is that you need money to run these campaigns, and the whole.
Well, I kind of question whether that's the case because, look at Dan Crenshaw. How did he win? I think Dan Crenshaw is a really great, more reasonable example of a newer politician. He's on the right. He's a Republican senator in, I want to say Texas, or a Republican representative in Texas somewhere, and he's a former Navy SEAL. He's the guy with the eye patch.
Yeah, dude, this guy looks badass. This guy looks like Chris Pratt, kind of from a distance with an eye patch.
Oh yeah, kind of.
It looks like.
How did he lose his eye? He's a Navy SEAL.
Chris Pratt's dad from that movie. Yeah, he got injured in combat. He like really came to prominence actually through SNL. Pete David made fun of him in one episode of SNL, and there was a bunch of backlash. And Dan Crenshaw came on SNL the following week and like dispelled the backlash. Like he went to SNL. He did a little piece on the news skit that they do on SNL. I forget the name. And he basically they did like a skit where he like made fun of Pete David back. But then
good for him.
It was so good, dude.
Good for him.
It was so well handled.
Side question, guys.
Yeah.
If you lost your eye, would you just wear a glass eye, or would you actually go the eye patch? Because the eye patch is a bold move. You don't see that a lot, but there's a lot of people with missing eyes.
I do the patch.
The patch is pretty cool.
Hundo P.
I don't know if I'd do the patch. I think I'd probably do the eye.
Yo, yard sale, wear your fleshlight, creatives.
What?
You're supposed to decorate your fleshlight, take a picture of it, and post it in chat.
I've been decorating it like daily, but I keep forgetting to post it, and I keep washing the decorations out.
Ew.
Yo, is this his girl? That is a girl. I think this is girl. Let's just keep. Hey.
Is that his eye right there?
Damn, dude, he got a girl with 2 eyeballs? Good for him.
Oh, man. Okay. What is this mousetrap business?
My music teacher in elementary school had a glass eye. It's kind of weird.
And my grandpa
had
did
a glass eye.
Yeah.
I mean, he was kind of a
I
freaky
still
guy
have it.
anyway, so like it made him even like
Dude,
creepier.
what? How did you even find this trap, dude?
It's crazy, right?
Whoa.
What?
That's a real thing.
So when you hear a gun,
Wait,
when you hear a
this is
gunfire,
a trap from the 1800s, or like 1882.
Wow.
Or is there a gun called the 1882?
no,
No, it's probably from 1882.
Because I know there's a gun called 1911. Maybe there's a gun called 1882.
I don't know if I could do this. I've had a few mice in my apartment, and I put out the like glue traps, and I had to have people come in and remove them because I can't like see that. I couldn't.
This is
you would just have to
way
clean
more
up some
humane
blood and
than a glue
guts.
trap. This is way more humane.
Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah.
That's
A
The
glue
glue
trap,
traps
you just
work,
stuck
though.
and starve and like.
Yeah, you drown them.
so you hear
You
it.
gotta-
You hear a gun go off, and you know you've gotten a rodent. That's nuts. All right. God
This
damn.
was only being like Texas or something.
Yeah, I have to ask, where did you find this? Like, was somebody?
I can't set up this trap at my house.
Why? But why would you say that? Do you have a mouse?
Well, I mean,
Like
okay.
a pet mouse?
One, I don't have a
A gun?
legal firearm. Two, I mean, a gun goes off. Like, if you're infested by rats, I mean, how many times the police are gonna get called on you? Like, that's just gonna be inconvenient. And
Probably as many times as they get called on people in all of our neighborhoods in New York, anyway, for fireworks.
yeah, but I live
Keep
in a
getting
nice,
alerts.
I live
of,
in
like-
a relatively nice neighborhood where there isn't gunfire.
Put a silencer on it.
Ooh, look at Yard Sale over here with this big fancy neighborhood. People aren't getting murdered on the streets. Ooh, you're so fancy.
Dude, Manhattan here has gotten pretty bad in certain areas. Like Penn Station is pretty much an entire homeless camp, like, and the surrounding areas, and a lot of places.
Yeah,
are
there's a
boarded up.
lot of homeless.
Anyways, proposal to cancel $50,000 of student loan debt. I saw this. What is this approach, Mr.
This-
Lutz?
Seems really interesting. So we've talked about this before, and your issue is a legitimate issue. Why should we cancel student debt when it only impacts a small portion of the population? Why should you pay for my college education? Which is a legitimate concern. But what this is saying is,
Thank you. No, seriously,
Sir,
thank
I've always felt
you
that.
for acknowledging.
I still think
You
should
and my
pay for
girlfriend are
college
kind of dicks about it.
Yeah, but what if you go, all right, we're going to decriminalize marijuana. We realize we were wrong. It's stupid, but we're going to keep everyone who was arrested and in prison for years and years for marijuana crimes in jail. We're not going to release them. We're not going to correct their mistakes, you know? I mean, that's a little different but it's still debt is it in itself a prison. Like, especially nowadays with university, like, if we're going towards the path of, like, free education or whatever, like, shouldn't you, like, go back and be like, all right, like, at least these people, there should be a window, like, all right, these people, like, yesterday, we shackled them with years of debt. Today, we're saying that we're not going to do that.
Well, the free education for the future, they're looking at that not for private schools, for public schools. So somebody like Lux would still have to pay for his debt.
Good.
Yeah, because I didn't go to some peasant school.
Well,
Yeah, he went to a really expensive school and he can't spell.
Yeah. You get what you paid for, man.
wait. So this is a
So
collection
let
of
me
ideas.
Let me explain the proposal. So the idea is you could cancel up to $50,000 in student debt. You would also start providing up to $50,000 in education benefits to all new students. So young people, going into college would get this too, and moving forward. So from now on into the future, you get $50K to go to college or a trade school, any sort of training, something like that.
Wait. Back up, because I don't understand. you get $50,000 for given, but you also get $50,000.
Either or.
Students.
Just for new students.
Either or.
Students going
Either
in.
or. $50,000 is the total benefit. $50,000 is the total benefit. If you've already gone to school and you have student debt, you use it to pay off your debt. If you haven't gone to school, you can use it to go to school.
Now, what if it pays off part of your debt?
Let me finish.
Okay.
If you are an adult and you don't want to go to school, you can use it as you can use up to $50,000 as a tax write-off throughout the course of your life. So this covers 100% of basis. So it's no longer a situation where you're paying for my college education because you're getting the same benefit. You're also getting $50,000 back.
So for somebody like me, like I've paid off my loans, I would get that in a tax credit.
Correct.
Over how long?
Over the course of your life.
Oh, fuck that. That's bullshit.
Over the course of what?
That's bullshit.
You don't get $50,000 every year. You get a total of $50,000 for your entire life.
Yeah,
but like, how do you
as a tax
know how long
write-off.
your life is going to be, though? Like
what?
Like how many, like what is that per year? Like, when you're getting it for education, are you getting it $50,000 over for like 1 year? Or are you getting it spread over 4 years, or whatever the length of your school is? So
I think it's however you choose to allocate it. It's however you choose to allocate it. If you go to an expensive ass private school, you're going to spend that in one semester.
Yeah, so then why wouldn't you be able to write off it within a couple? Like I feel like there needs to be some kind of a term on the tax part, like it within 10 years.
You don't pay $50,000 in taxes likely in 10 years.
But I think a lifetime is like a little too infinite. That's all.
I don't know.
It kind of washes out if you decrease the amount of time, then it kind of washes out. Right? It doesn't give that. It probably doesn't give enough influx of cash tax money to the government to supply the $50,000 to each person, and that's why it's spread out over a long period of time. But theoretically, yeah, you get the $50K, but like, I'm just not gonna wait. That doesn't make sense for me. I know, I'm still paying for it.
Of course, it doesn't make sense to the 1%er of this podcast. Of course, you're going to be in your high-rise apartment.
No, I mean this is actually like a really interesting idea. I think, and I haven't read this yet, but I think it would just make sense to do it over a little bit less of time, maybe even like 25 years or 30. Because like it seems like a long period of time. That's all.
Yard sale, if anything. I was able to do that without paying $50K to a college. So,
yeah,
it's an example.
I honestly I admire you for that. Like anyone that fucking, especially nowadays, just willingly goes into debt to university is a sucker. No matter how prestigious that East Coast university is.
Of course, the plebeians would say something like that.
Yeah, I love this. Of course, the X person. I don't actually. You know what though, Lux, is that I appreciate the fact that there's at least an attempt at like trying to change this. If I had to do this, I would be upset, but I wouldn't be as upset just like forgiving student loans and having.
Why would you be upset though? Let's say you paid $10,000 a year in taxes. You wouldn't have to pay taxes for the next 5 years.
Oh, you're saying that wait? So that changes a bit.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly that's what we were just talking about.
Yeah, because then it's all those people that aren't students that are griping about this, like. That changes.
There's something in it for everybody.
Also getting benefit.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Is this something that's being worked into like legislation, or what? Where is this kind of in play?
Is this being voted on?
Someone put forward a proposal. I don't know if it's being voted on. It's not likely to pass, but
it's a start. It's got to start somewhere.
So
someone's written a bill or a
proposal. But see, this is the thing. This is an actual solution.
Or capital tax?
I mean, obviously, all those details have to be worked out. I don't know if they're worked out in the article, but the concept is such that, like if they pass this tomorrow, I have 30 grand in debt. I could write off 30 grand, and then I would have another 20 grand. I could write down my student loan debt, take care of that 30K in debt, and then I would have another 20 grand to write off on my taxes for the next couple of years. You have no student debt. Let's say you pay 10 grand in taxes every year. You would pay no taxes for the next 5 years.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, dude! What? Fuck yeah, dude! Like you can sell a house and pay like 100 grand in taxes easy, and like that 50K would be awesome.
So this is something like this is one of those things where there is a problem, and somebody has actually come up with a realistic solution that, like you said, can be beneficial to all.
Yeah, where everybody gets a trophy.
Yeah.
Yes.
Participation trophy.
I'm down for this trophy.
In a good way. It's a metaphor, but in a good way.
I thought it was like you can
in the game of life, so
you can write off like $50 one year, $50 the next year, $50 the year after that. That's what I thought. I thought it was like spanned out throughout your lifetime.
That's why I didn't like. I feel like there needs to be some kind of. I mean, I understand that you don't really pay like $50,000 in taxes, or even 10 sometimes for people.
Twashi, is that do you pay around 10?
No. But I would if I sold some of my assets. If I sold some of my assets, I would probably end up paying 10 or 20.
Man, that's insane.
You probably pay close to that, don't you? What's your effective tax rate? Mine's like 12%.
Yeah, you're right. Actually, yeah. Let me back the fuck up because I'm not thinking my gross income. I'm thinking about strictly capital gains. So yeah, I'm probably paying 25%, 25% of.
I'm less than 25.
I'm probably.
You're probably in the mid-teens, mid to high teens.
Yeah, you're probably combined with some light selling of assets.
Whatever your capital gains taxes are.
Actually, that's not terrible. It's not terrible at all.
It's a really interesting idea that literally applies to every American citizen. I mean, every American citizen.
But they have to be betting that like some people either A, won't take advantage of it, or B, don't pay enough taxes to really take advantage of it over time. Because then because
it's only got to be used for those two things, right? Education or taxes. You can't like go get a pack of smokes with it, right? If you wanted to, like it.
Yeah.
But you can get blow and hookers.
Well,
that's to educate yourself on how to do it for others.
Where do I vote?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, like, if everybody took advantage of this, it would then turn into a wash, and then you might as well not have done it at all, and just have the government forgive it all. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be a margin in which the government is actually getting some money.
Yeah, they would have to work out something like that where you can only use up to 5% of your benefit each year, or something like that, 10% of your benefit each year. I don't know. They would have to work out those details. You're right. They would have to work something out so that the government is still generating revenue. Because you're right. If they pass this tomorrow and we all started using it, the government wouldn't have any money.
Yeah.
But I imagine that the proposal includes something like that. I think it might have included some sort of small profit sharing for the people who.
There's a 1% tax on wealthy here, tax on corporations, which I'm not opposed to.
Me neither. I say
think,
taxes, motherfuckers.
Yeah. Especially if all corporations. I don't know about that because they're small corporations too, and. At 1%.
Not all corporations. All corporations with a certain value or a certain certain amount in assets.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I mean, look at what happened. Like you've brought it up multiple times, Swashi, about how this is the largest transfer of wealth in American history. What happened with the CARES Act, and this is the second time this has happened in our adult life where we've been fucked like this.
Yeah.
And I'm really a big believer in capitalism. But we don't have capitalism right now. What we have is a system where we have privatized the gains and we've socialized the losses. And it's bullshit. Like, fuck that. Fuck that shit. That's ridiculous. If that's what you're gonna do, then give me free healthcare and give me free college.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. It's very actually there's a scale, and the United States is like, there's no place that's like 100% capitalism and 100% free markets, and I think the U.S. is actually in like the fourth or fifth place in the world, with Singapore, I think, being the top place, who's like fully free market capitalism.
Yeah, but like, where are we on education? We're so far down the list.
Sure.
Like, for the number one nation, I mean, we're nowhere. We're not even in the top 10.
Fuck healthcare. We just need to make stuff, sell stuff, and acquire stuff. That's what life's about.
You sound like you're from America.
We need stuff.
We need stuff. We need to consume. We need to consume.
I was reading this. You say you're from America. I was reading this article today that reminds me of the guest that we had on, that more people, because I'm in the current process of renewing my Irish passport. It expires at the end of this year. And I read this article today about how more Americans, because more Americans are like immigrants from immigrant families, so their parents have immigrated here, so they're eligible for passports. And this year alone, there has been an influx in those applications to have more than just an American passport, so you can kind of get out of here.
So
just to have as like a safety.
There's this company that has emerged, and I don't really trust it very much, but there's this term called flag theory. And it's about, the company's basically created around setting you up with multiple kind of passports and citizenship, so that you can take advantage of economies, government, and kind of not evading taxes, but like pushing them off, or actually. Technically speaking, if you don't stay in a country for 6 months, you don't have to. No country can come after you for taxes if you are not a U.S. citizen, right? Like, if you're not a U.S. citizen, if you're not a U.S. citizen, U.S. will come after you for taxes anywhere you are,
unless become an expat and you denounce your citizenship.
Right. Right, so you'd have to do that. Flag theory, it's a whole thing, and like, services like this actually make a lot of sense, for somebody who's trying to do that. And by the way, our last guest, I had a chance to talk with her today, or yesterday actually, and she's now in Portugal. We had our meeting while she was in like a forest next to an ocean, and like literally I could see the van that they're now living out of.
Wow.
It's just insane to me, And she's still providing a great consulting service, sitting on a rock near the beach in Portugal.
No, I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This article, I didn't realize this, but you can actually buy passports in other countries as well.
Yeah.
So it's called a golden passport, I think they called it. It's actually pretty expensive to do. There are some countries that are cheaper, but this company in particular focuses on a lot of countries like Portugal and Panama. They have like multiple ways that you can like become a citizen, and one of those ways is you invest in property, right? So you take like 50 to 100 grand and you like go buy property, right? It's really expensive, but it's the quickest way to getting citizenship real quick. Right.
You can do that here too.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. Is that why Cupertino filled up so quickly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
Didn't know that. Did not know that. not know that. I hesitate to talk about this, but I kind of want to. I want to know why this is on here. We haven't talked about the BLM in a while. Video shows San Jose police tasing beating couple after hotel birthday party. What is this? Lex?
Oh man, I don't even remember.
It says,
I feel like Lux gets off the show and immediately starts putting things on the agenda.
So it says the issue of police brutality has BLM's involvement caused the failure or loss of the opportunity to address the issue reasonably. I don't know. You beat a birthday couple in San Jose. San Jose police, I remember always being kind of...
Oh, yeah. Okay, so some couple was having like a hotel party, and the cops got called, so the cops show up and tell them that they have to turn the music down, they have to be quiet. And at first they kind of like argue with them or whatever, and then they're like, okay, fine, we'll turn the music off. And then the cops were finally like, okay, we have to see your driver, like, get us your IDs. That's when they started arguing. So at first it was all amicable. Okay, you're having a party in a hotel, you got to keep it down. They go, okay, fine, we'll keep it down. Yada yada yada. No problem.
Whoa.
And then the cops said, show us your IDs, and the couple got mad. They said, why do you need to see our IDs? It's just a noise complaint. There's no need to see our IDs. They got upset. There was a bit of an argument, and then finally the couple relented, and they went inside the hotel room to get their IDs. Apparently, they slammed the door in the cop's face. And when they came outside with the IDs, the story changed, and it said, no longer are you allowed to stay. You have to leave the hotel. You're being kicked out. And so clearly the issue was the slamming of the door in the face. That's when the cops got pissed off and decided to kick him out. And so the cops got pissed. The couple got pissed because it was like, oh, we could stay before, but now you're all mad because we slammed the door in your face. Maybe it was on accident. Maybe it was on purpose. Who knows? But there was an altercation, and apparently somebody got tased, and like the cops obviously used excessive force. The couple was arrested. They were like attacked physically, and they had to go to the hospital at first.
Yeah, they're like really beating her.
It said it's their 22nd birthday. So they hit her 22 times. Maybe they're just
mine's like that. But so they beat the shit out of this couple. The couple has to go to the hospital first, and then from the hospital they're sent to jail, and then from jail they're released on bail. So obviously the police used excessive force on this one. But after the couple is released, they go seek the aid of a lawyer, and they press charges saying you used excessive force. Once this happens, the cops then file all these charges saying that they were resisting arrest and yada, yada, yada. So no charges were filed until the couple pressed charges.
Wow.
It's clearly a case of police misconduct, obviously.
Bro, I mean, listen, we all had our run-ins with the law in San Jose. I always felt San Jose was, even after the fact. I mean, I had to stop thinking about it, but even after the fact, San Jose has always been pretty, like, SJPD has always been really shady and dickish. Like,
really?
Yeah. Every time
I thought they were okay. But, I mean, either way, the point I was trying to make with this article is that here's a clear case of police misconduct where the narrative that we were talking about a few months ago with the George Floyd incident was police misconduct.
Yeah.
And yet that narrative has changed so fundamentally that we're not really talking about that anymore. And so the argument that I'm making here is like Black Lives Matter has sort of lost the thread of the narrative, where they had a moment in time where they could have impacted some serious change on how police work is conducted in this country, and they lost that opportunity in order to push crazy shit.
I mean, that was like the biggest fear in general. Is like, you know, really hoping that something could really change, and you know, I you know, for as bad as the you know, some of the things that happened, where I like the fact that people feel that they can do those things and voice themselves and feel like they have some control. At the same time, I really wish that, you know, all those things stayed a bit more focused. And you're right. This is probably not as, you know, important to the movement today.
It's unfortunate because I think we needed some change. I think
right. No, and I was like, you know, people are like, you know, defunding the police, that's like stupid, right? Well, I was like, it's not a terrible move if then afterwards you make changes of some sort. You know, if a facet of government is not working, one of the best ways to, you know, do something about it is just take away the funding for it, or decrease it, or not
reallocate the funding. You know, like you don't just. That's the thing, is just like there's slogans and fucking words, hashtags, and, you know, 140 characters and signs on, you know, picket signs, and it spreads like wildfire, and that's what people. There's no nuance, there's no explanation, and so it's just like it morphs into this thing where this mob mentality is just like, yeah, disband the police, take them away, like, you know, no police, but like, no, that's going to do more harm than good. Like, you got to think realistically about this. Maybe defunding like corrupt policies or factors of the police department that are, you know, not really working out, or they're self-serving. Like, use that money, you know, to like re-educate for better training. I mean, there's so many, you know, we still need the police. The police still needs money to be effective. They need funding to be effective. So if we're saying the police is ineffective and corrupt, and we take away money from them, then they're just going to become more corrupt. You know, fucking.
That's true. You know, I never listened to radio, right? Because I have my phone, right? But my phone, like, kind of ran out of battery. I forgot to charge it, and the night before, and I heard on the radio today that Governor Cuomo, that's it. I always fuck up his last name. Well, okay, so the taxi drivers in New York are struggling to keep their medallion status. So if you want to be a taxi driver, you got to pay $2,000 a month for the medallion to be a taxi driver. It's a fucking sham.
It's crazy expensive.
Yeah, right. So
it costs like $1 million or something.
So a lot of taxi drivers are really in a rut right now. You know, outside of COVID, it's just like you have this. They worry about it every month, you know, and some lenders are easing the rules so that they can, you know, give out more money to these drivers. Cuomo is aware of the situation. The taxi drivers, you know, obviously feel that the city should probably chip in. Cuomo thinks that the Fed should chip in, and I heard that and I was like, why should the federal government supply that money?
President Obama worked so hard to get past.
What?
Sorry, I pulled something up on my phone, and it was like a speech.
Oh, I thought it was some rando who joined the chat.
No, sorry. I didn't think my volume was on.
I was like, what the fuck? Who is that?
I just think the mentality is kind of weird. Like, why do we need to ask the federal government for that money? And
I agree with that. I don't think that we need to. I think it's a New York problem, and New York needs to figure out how to. Cuomo, I think, gets all this praise for, and I do think he did a good job of being very transparent with the public in the beginning of this. And I didn't tune into his conferences all the time, but I got it, and I was very appreciative of that. But I think he's now kind of taking that, and still so many people are saying, oh, he's been doing such a great job and blah, blah, blah. But he is putting a lot of what he needs to do, saying that the federal government needs to take care of it. And that's not always the case. Like, you need to take care of your own state. There is a time when the federal government can jump in, but taxi drivers in New York City are not something on a federal. So I understand why people, and why people are kind of like, hey, federal government shouldn't be bailing out these states. I don't necessarily think that's true. And, I think the federal government should be helping the states a little more than they currently are, which is they're not doing anything. But I don't think that they're supposed to wipe out all the debt that the states incurred because of this. Like, we need to figure out this problem ourselves as well. And you can't just be asking for money. There's obviously a bigger problem with why are the medallions that expensive, especially, nowadays when you have things like Uber and Lyft. Like, why are they still that expensive?
Right. How is that a requirement? Right,
right, because these taxi drivers are not multimillionaires. They're usually immigrants, and they're usually really trying to make ends meet for their family.
Yeah, and that's right. That's it kind of just makes me feel that the mentality is to rely more on the federal government, more dependence on the federal government. And I think it also comes from this idea that, if you can afford to bail out these private corporations, you should be able to bail out these, states, right? But I don't think you should be doing either. That's just my 2 cents on the matter.
No, but I do think there does need to be a little bit more help. I mean, I don't think that the federal government needs to bail out every state, but I do think that if you were able to bail out all these corporations, why are you not giving a little bit, because if you look at helping the states in that way is really helping to secure jobs, right? You're not looking to bail.
You're turning into a cyborg.
You're trying to help them keep the jobs and the people that are in those government jobs. I don't know. I'll just stop talking then.
No. I mean,
we can hear you now. We can hear you now.
Yeah, I can hear you now. That's a point. I mean, that's a point, right? Like the logic is we bail out these companies. Hold on, fucking yard sales going crazy. We bail out.
You're bailing out all these corporations. You can't. There's an absolute no against any funding for state and local governments.
Well, I want to point out your point response. Is that your point about the logic being that you bail out these companies and it goes down to the people who work there so that they can keep their jobs, so that they can keep the economy running. And I mean, I think that kind of works. At the same time,
why can't they do the same thing for the state and you're not bailing out the state and local government, but you're giving them enough money to keep people employed, which is what you were doing for corporations. The airlines next month are just going to fire everybody.
I know, and most of the time the corporations just end up firing those people anyway, so it doesn't really work.
I don't think that they should be bailed out completely either. I definitely don't think that, but I think there's not a blanket yes or no response. And across the board, across the nation, I think each case and each state needs to be looked at, with what their economy was like beforehand. Was it healthy? Was it not? What kind of toll did the virus take on it? New York was, very much hit in a very different way than other states. But I'm not saying come in and just, give all the money, break New York even, but there needs to be some kind of help to get it going again, right? I
don't agree with either. I don't think that the government should be involved with that. The Fed right now, I've seen a few articles and I haven't read through them. So take this as like a grain of salt, like with everything here. But the Fed seems to be moving into different areas of influence, beyond monetary policy, which is really odd. I forgot what the article was about. It was kind of just, they were advising on another shutdown, I think. I think that's what it was. It was an advice for another shutdown because of COVID, which was just really odd to me. The role of their job today is very different than it was before, and it sounds like it's just propping up the economy. And so to say, hey, you need to do another shutdown doesn't really seem like a way to prop up the economy. But then when you tie it back to my conspiracy theory a few weeks ago, where this all started, in my opinion, in September, when the repo market crashed and there wasn't enough money for the banks to, get money to make loans and to, do collateralized loans or any of that kind of stuff. The liquidity was gone. And so COVID has been like the greatest excuse to print more money and to inject more money into the repo market. There was literally probably no way to get around it. And so now I just contradicted myself. It actually does make sense that the Fed would suggest another shutdown so that they can issue another stimulus check, so they can print more money and keep the repo market alive. But I don't know if that's just another kick the can down the road type of solution. But, yeah.
I don't know.
Anywho, self-interest preferences. Shampoo. Wait, what is this? This is some more New York news, and then I'm going to end the stream. New York shampoo assistant bill is dripping with special interest. What is the shampoo? I hate the New York Post, but seriously, what is the shampoo assistant bill?
So there's a bill before the New York State Senate to regulate shampoo, like hairdressing assistants or something like that. Basically, if you go into a barber or a hairstylist and the person who's there to give you a shampoo now needs a certain license and a certification that requires a certain number of 500 hours of training, and in order to get that training, you'd have to spend around $5,000 or $2,000. I can't remember the amount to meet the requirements to get the certification. And guess who's proposing the bill? It is a hairdressing college. So
you need you need to spend $5,000 to get enough hours to learn how to wash hair.
Basically, to wash hair, to shampoo hair, they're going to pass a law saying you have to get this certification. And in order to get this certification, you're going to have to go to a beauty college. And the person who is proposing the law owns a beauty college. I mean, it's the exact definition of corruption, of abusing the system.
Yeah.
It's so ridiculous.
I can't. I'm done. I'm done.
I mean, that's I know a lot of hairdressers.
This is it. This is done. I'm done.
They get their like start in these salons. You know, some kids in like high school. That's how they get started in salons. Is becoming like a what do they call it?
Shampoo assistant or whatever.
A shampoo assistant, and then they learn the ins and outs of the salon that way.
Yep.
Again, forcing people to go into education, maybe if that's not their desired route. I mean, like to wash hair, that's crazy.
I can't. This is.
It's pure and utter corruption. Pure and utter corruption.
This is like my girlfriend's been watching the show called like. It's something real estate, sunny real estate or whatever. It's like the show in LA. It's kind of.
I've heard about that.
Yeah. Anyways, they do.
People love it.
People love it. It's beautiful houses in Los Angeles. It's really hot people. It's completely fabricated. Most of it, all of the. So they're a big real estate like company, right? So. They have like a famous YouTuber on there and everything, but you never see any of these other agents. You just see the really pretty female agents that were once actresses or posed for Playboy or something like that, and the drama that they go through together, right? And the drama's intense, man. I tell you what, the drama's, it's intense. Gives me so much anxiety, makes me really upset, and I'm getting the same feeling. It's just like this, it runs in the background, and sometimes I hear what's going on. I refuse to watch it, but like that drama gives me so much anxiety, and there's just so much going on right now. I'm just done. I'm done. I'm done with shampoos. I'm done with New York. I'm done with it.
How often do you shampoo your hair?
Maybe once a week.
Oh wow, that's more than me.
Yeah, actually I ran out of like body soap, so I've been using my shampoo on my body.
Well, I have a 3-in-1. It's a body wash, shampoo, and conditioner. And even with that, I go, maybe like once every week and a half I'll put it in my
That's crazy.
You could just put it on your hair.
COVID has helped me not wash my hair as much, I feel like.
I mean, I shampoo my pubes all the time, but that's different.
It's a treat for yourself, right?
You gotta make that
it's not a treat
fleshlight
for anybody
happy.
else. Are you kidding me?
Fleshlight. Gotta make that fleshlight happy.
Yeah. Well, actually, I don't. Like, my fleshlight's always asking me to shave. I'm like, fuck no, bitch.
You should trim some pubes and then give your fleshlight an afro.
Dude, that is a brilliant idea because I'm a fan of little pubic hair. I am. And my fleshlight just doesn't grow any. She has fucking alopecia or whatever the fuck it's called.
All right, on that note, I'm going to call it. I got to get up early, guys. I'm sorry.
Same. I got to go as well.
Dude, I'm so happy that everybody made it. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And thanks, Jake. Stopped by, and I think he's gone now. Peace
Bye,
out.
Jake.
Have a good night, everyone. Good night.
As always, thanks, everybody.